Okay, everybody, we're back. First Cabral HouseCall of the weekend. Glad you could join me here. Love being able to answer all of our community's questions every single weekend. This is where we meet up as a community. Maybe they're your questions, maybe there's somebody else's, but the truth is there's a lot of people thinking these questions, or there's a lot of family members, community members, or if you're a practitioner, maybe you've got a client that's dealing with these things. Let's try to tackle them together. All the questions can easily be read at stephencabral.com/3459. That is today's show, episode 3459. And for obviously all back shows, you can search those back shows at stephencabral.com/podcast. Let's dive in. Let's see what the first question says. It's from Anne. Anne is asking, hi, Dr. Cabral. Everyone out here so appreciates all you do. Thank you, Anne. It means a lot. I appreciate that. You have mentioned that there is a difference between an IgG reaction to a food and a digestive issue that would cause bloating and gas, etc. Could you explain how you can tell if you're having an IgG reaction? I used to think that the bloat was the reaction. The 3 foods I'm moderately sensitive to, based on my food sensitivity test, have never given me overt symptoms. So I'm wondering how to tell if these or any of these food combos are giving me inflammation without a telltale rash, swelling, etc. I'm 61 and don't have any pressing health issues, so health span is my focus right now, and I don't want to be eating anything that may cause me hidden inflammation. Thank you again. Yeah, happy to answer this. So it's a great question. When you run a food sensitivity test, people are often dismayed because they say like, oh, I don't know, pick a food. Almonds didn't show up. And every time I eat almonds, I get bloating and I get hives and I get a skin rash. And like, totally get that, totally understand. The food sensitivity test that we run is an IgG food sensitivity. That means it's an immunoglobulin sensitivity. So there's 193 foods, and that you just do a 1 finger prick and then you put a couple drops of blood on a card. That's it. You mail it in. They take that blood. There's 193 different vials. They test your blood against the antigens, or I should say, antigens from all these different foods. And they say, how does your white blood cells, how does your IgGs react with these particular food-based proteins? And if there's an inflammatory-based reaction at a higher level, it shows that. Moderate, it shows that. Mild, it shows that. And then just normal, it shows that, right? So like easy, that's how it's done. You could do it for IgM, which is an intermediary. So IgG would be more like 2 to 3 day response. That's why we test for it, because it's so hard to remember what you ate 2 to 3 days ago, but it could be causing inflammation in your body. And then IgA is more of immediate. IgA could be the throat swelling up, of course. It could be itchy eyes, itchy throat. Any of those things could be a more immediate reaction, right? IgE, IgA. All right. Bloating is a digestive issue. If you have dairy and you get gas, it's not necessarily an immune reaction. It means that your body might not have the lactase enzyme to break down the lactose in dairy. That's all. So that's why if you take a gluten and dairy support enzyme, you might have no issues with it, right? If you take that before the dairy. So it's something to think about. So hopefully that explains it. Now, let's say you were sensitive to, on this test, you were sensitive to, call it eggs, and you were, like, let's say it's egg whites, you were sensitive to ginger tea, you were sensitive to, I don't even know, let's name one more, oatmeal. Okay, so let's say you have oatmeal 3 times a week, you have eggs twice a week, and you have ginger tea, maybe, I don't know, once or twice a week. Okay, so you're having these things, and you're saying, I don't have any, like, what would an IgG reaction be? Any type of inflammation. So it could be swelling, it could be inflammation, joint pain, stiffness, brain fog, any of the inflammation, right? Because what it's doing is just filling up your rain barrel, right? If you read the rain barrel effect, it's one more thing filling up the rain barrel. So it's not the only thing. So the nice thing is if you're a healthy individual and you're eating foods that you're mildly sensitive to, moderately sensitive to, you probably won't feel it because you haven't overflowed the rain barrel. If you're very sensitive and you're very intuitive, you might know like, oh, yeah, my exercise has been a little bit more blah this week. My recovery's been a little bit slower if you add a food in that you're sensitive to. So, and hopefully that was helpful, but it's why it's good to test these things. You know, it really is. It's because it's just one more thing that begins to fill up the rain barrel. And with enough of those, such as heavy metals, EMFs, etc., that's why some people are more sensitive to EMFs. And some people become less sensitive to EMFs because they empty their rain barrel. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. Kavita is up next. Kavita says, hello, Dr. Brawl. Thank you for your incredible work. I've successfully reversed many of my health issues thanks to your guidance and support. That's amazing, Kavita. Thank you for letting me know that. I really do appreciate when people write in saying they're getting the results that they want. So I love it. All right. I recently received my test results and I'm pleased to report that they look fantastic overall. However, my cholesterol levels are on the higher side. What recommendations do you have for addressing this? I walk frequently and work out 3 to 4 times a week, including strength training. I'm currently focused on my weight, aiming to reach 170 pounds. I weigh 191 at the moment. Additionally, I've been struggling with migraines for most of my life and recently started seeing a chiropractor in hopes that this will help alleviate my symptoms. I would greatly appreciate any advice. All right, so it's 2 questions though. But really the number one thing is what you're focused on. Focused on losing the weight. Why? Because what you need to do in order to lose the weight is going to get the body healthier. I'm going to be publishing a new book this coming year and about 6 months from now. And I don't want to give it away. So how do I talk about it without giving it away? So let's put that aside for a moment. So basically what you want to do is put first things first. So a lot of people say like, how can I lower my cholesterol? Well, yes, you could take things like red yeast rice extract, bergamot, they're like plant phytosterols. There's so many things that you could do. But first, let's say, are you hitting the foundational and fundamentals? Are you using daily omega-3 support? Are you using something like daily nutritional support, daily activated multivitamin? Are you taking vitamin D3? Are you lowering your inflammation levels through the foods that you're eating? And like you just mentioned, working out, you're saying 3 to 4 times a week, let's get that to 4 to 5. But people think it needs to be an hour workout. It doesn't. It literally does not. No, you're talking about 30 minutes is for your workouts. Are you getting 7,500 to 10,000 steps per day? Are you using intermittent fasting smartly, not skipping breakfast, but still getting in 12 to 14 hours a day? So like there's so many great things to do, and you lower your cholesterol by finding out what's causing that inflammatory based reaction. Okay. And then the migraines, almost the same thing. There's always an underlying root cause. So is it histamines? Is it imbalanced thyroid? Is it estrogen dominance that's causing your migraines? Is it a food sensitivity like we just spoke about with Anne, an IgG food sensitivity? Or your chiropractor might find this, there might be a biomechanical issue where there is improper blood flow in and out of the cervical part of the neck and brain. So those are all things to look at. And I've got a lot of shows on migraines that you can check out at stephencabral.com/migraines. And if you really like, the best thing that you can do is run the Big 5 for everybody out there. If you're not running the Big 5 once a year, I can't recommend it enough. You can find that at stephencabral.com/big and the number 5. And the reason is that you get a 90-minute consultation to go through all of your labs to tell you exactly what's going on in your body. Then you get a personalized wellness plan. And this goes way beyond blood work. It's all at-home lab testing that's been around for decades. And it's the missing piece of most people's equation. All right, David's up next. Hi, Dr. Brawl. Really appreciate everything you do. And I can't stress enough how much of a positive impact you've had on my life and those around me as a result of being the health coach in my home. David, that's amazing. So happy to hear that. And that is what I want for everybody. I want the listeners of this show to become the health coach in their home. That's really it. When we teach that at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. So if you want to become an IHP certified health coach, can't recommend it enough. Serve your family, serve yourself, serve your family, and those around you. And if you want to create a career out of it, even better. All right. All right. So David says, I've been revisiting my personal protocol to optimize for my genes even more than I do. And boy, is it a confusing area. Specifically, I'm trying to balance MTHFR and COMT. After speaking with a methylation food nutritionist, she recommended that I switch my DNS to beef liver and beef organ supplements, about 4 to 5 caps of each. I've taken Ecolife's organ complex and generally tolerated it well, but was wondering if there's a time and place, such as having my genotype, where using a whole food based multivitamin makes sense and is better than synthetic multivitamins. So I've gone over this many times and I am like dismayed at all of the people calling themselves like genetic methylation based nutritionists. It's almost like nothing can be further from the truth. Using beef liver and beef organs, I have nothing against them whatsoever, but you have no idea what you're getting as a standardized vitamin and mineral. Literally no idea. And if you're sensitive to higher levels of vitamin A and you're taking a lot of beef liver, it can be detrimental to not only your liver, but your skin. People are getting skin rashes from taking in 25, 50,000 plus IUs of vitamin A. If you're sensitive to histamines, organs have some of the highest histamine levels in them. So I want to do the best for people, and I worry about all of these people that are giving recommendations on genetics. I have so many shows talking about you should not start supplementing just based on your genetics. I just want to repeat that. If you run a genetic test, you should not start supplementing based on your genetics, because you have no idea if any of those genes that you have are giving you a hard time or not. Meaning, like, you have multiple MTHFR genes. You've got COMT. Other genes can balance those genes. So you start to do something for this one and it throws that one off. What you need to do, my opinion, but also based on well over 250,000 people in 25 years of clinical practice, run at least the starter kit, right? The vitamin tox test. It will tell you if you need more methylated B vitamins or not. It'll look at your mitochondria. It'll look at your methylation. It literally shows you that. Your genes don't change. Your single nucleotide polymorphisms are not going to change. Your SNPs on that. What does change is your nutrition and your supplementation based on those. So the daily nutritional support, the DNS, is formulated specifically for people because we know 40 to 70% of the population they're either heterozygous or homozygous for the methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase gene. So it's formulated for those people. So to come off of it just doesn't make any sense. But again, we're all adults here. You can make decisions on what you feel is best for you. But whoever is recommending beef liver and beef organs, fine if you're low on iron. But David, I'm assuming, as a male, you want to be careful with how much iron you're taking in as well. And so I don't know. Again, I wasn't with you and the nutritionist when you spoke, but I would just be careful with some recommendations. That's all. All right, I got to move on. John's up next. Hey, doctor, I asked you a question on 3410, but you misread the question. I wanted to know if I should stop all my supplements when I'm on the heavy metal detox, not the regular detox. Just want to make sure the heavy metal doesn't cancel out everything. Thanks. I'm sorry about that, John. And always do feel free to write back in, correct me, let me know the real question. I'm always happy to redo. And just so you know, you can get same day answers at cabralsupportgroup.com. We have an amazing health coaching team there. They answer your questions for free. So, we pay them. They're on our team, but we want to try to just, again, pay it forward to the community, help the community. So you can ask there. But no, you do not have to stop any other supplements on the heavy metal detox. All right. And I will tell you specifically when to take those 3 products on the heavy metal detox. So no, you don't need to stop any others. All right. Tammy's up next. Tammy will be our last question, but of course, tomorrow we'll be answering another 5. So Tammy says, as a healthcare worker, I'm seeing an increase in patients with lymphedema, where the calf and ankle areas are very swollen, and many times get blistering sores and vein issues. What are your recommendations for lymphedema and venous-based problems? So it's a great question. And you know what? I'll tell you this. We see the same thing in our practice. We're just seeing more people holding more fluid in their ankles. So, just a couple reasons. There's high blood pressure. That's one of the main reasons. There's obviously weight gain and inflammation. There are kidney-based issues. So all of these are real. And the thing is, there's no one specific issue, but I will tell you, the more weight people gain, the more inflammation there is, the more gravity is going to work against you. And also the pump inside the gastrocnemius does not allow for that blood flow to come back to the heart. It's very dangerous. It's actually very dangerous for blood pressure, very dangerous for the peripheral artery, very dangerous for the kidneys. Here's one of the big issues as well, is that as individuals get older, unfortunately, especially women, those veins begin to become weaker and weaker in the lower legs and get varicose veins, etc. So I've talked about supplements in the past, but I don't want this to be a supplement show. So there are great supplements you can use. There's no doubt about it. I'd be remiss if I didn't name them. So herbs like butcher's broom, hesperidin, diosmin, I believe it's called, and horse chestnut. Okay, but again, those are just specialty supplements. They don't come before the foundational. But really the thing is that we need to get people moving, because walking alone pumps the ankle and the calf. It's called dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. And as the body moves, it pumps that blood back up. We can also, for 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, put the legs up on a wall, lying on the floor, get the legs up on a wall. That moves the fluid back down. But strength training twice a week to 3 times a week, walking 7,500 to 10,000 steps a day, using the daily foundational protocol, level 2, level 3, great. Using proteolytic enzymes can be great. Making sure that someone doesn't have high blood pressure, they don't have infections, that they're not, overweight, well over their BMI. All of those things are really important. And this is what I see. Besides toxicity, heavy metals can absolutely cause this edema, mercury, aluminum for sure. Yeah, so those and then a lot of leaky gut and intestinal permeability can create what are called endotoxemia or sometimes the thoughts just flow through my head. Lipopolysaccharides, which can lead to endotoxemia. Don't quote me on the lipopolysaccharides. I don't know why I'm questioning that right now in my brain, but it leads to endotoxemia, which is basically gram-negative bacteria or gram-positive bacteria that are moving in the bloodstream, creating inflammation and free radical damage. So as a healthcare practitioner, you always want to be able to teach what I wrote about in the rain barrel effect, the de-stress protocol, proper diet, proper exercise, proper stress reduction, proper toxin removal, proper rest and sleep, proper emotional balance, proper supplementation backed by science, and then that mindset, proper success mindset to see it all through. So hopefully today's show was helpful. I'll be back tomorrow answering more questions from our community. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.